approaches and has a hit. Jack McGlynn! That is an absolute banger to draw this game level.
Welcome in. We're back. Monday stream. We got the midweek CONCACAF Champions Cup. Second leg, round of 16. We're ready. Short slate, but we got plenty to go over, including a little bit of a wrap-up from last week to go with some insights on free kicks, as well as, the normal thing that we do with lineups, question and answer, everything else. So welcome in. First up, let's go. Daniel, coming in early. Let's go. Balat, what's happening? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, we're ready. We'll jump right into it here shortly. Jay Blaze, what's happening as well? Thanks for coming in. Nice win for your boys this weekend. Some surprising results, some surprising defense. What are we doing? Weird. Smash that like button. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Red or dead. Let's go. You love to hear some friendly faces in here. If you're lurking in the stream, say what's up. If you're not lurking, or you love being a lurker, continue to lurk. Watch. And if you're watching it back, I appreciate you as well. So let's jump into, without wasting any time, some free kick information just from the weekend, just to kind of go through some tidbits, some interesting things, with some guys out, like Zink out for Chicago, who are taking these sets whenever there are monopolies elsewhere. Johnny Shore was awesome. Yeah. Carrizo. Oh, Maximo. Get him in there too. Yeah. The young talent was on display. You love to see Julian Fernandez starting on the right side. I think he can have some form. He had an assist. That was nice. Toby, what's happening? Welcome in. Can you believe this? I get there's rotation, but and who would have thought it would have been a 5-2 match? Thomas versus Hassal. Yeah. I remember I overpaid on a Hassal card before Takioka came in. Was that 2 years ago? That was probably one of my worst buys of all time. And he's back. Yvonne, what's happening? What up? How's everyone doing? Results are bad, but hopeful. It was a weird game week. It was a very, very weird game week. I'll bounce into mine. It was weird. All my priorities were not good. I apparently haven't claimed the rewards. I didn't think I had any. Maybe. Maybe not. What did I get here? I didn't think I had any rewards. I guess we'll see. Oh, I had a box from midweek that I didn't open. This should get me. I think that's enough essence for a little box pull. Yeah, let's go. Didn't even realize. As far as results wise, St. Louis stacks cleaned up to end. So some people that I know that had St. Louis stacks, good for them. Saw some other familiar faces up top. It's great. I know most of the MLS landscape, but there's sometimes I'm I just don't recognize this name. But then you look at their gallery and they have a sick gallery. So Daniel, 6 in Limited Champ Classic D1. Let's go. Nice result, buddy. So yeah, let's craft this. Why not? This should be just MLS because that's all I play. Why not get a star, right? No. Incoming tier 5. Padelford. Okay. That's about as good as we thought it was going to be. It should help the collection score a little bit, right? I do have it's kind of boosting my Yeboah. So that's not the worst thing for collection-wise, because I think I probably passed them, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, close. That helps. Yeah, I was with Duggan starting, I was like, oh, is that? Then I was like, no. Yeah, that could have been good. Knew it wasn't Boxel. Is Duggan really Germany? I did not know that actually. And then I knew I had DJ Taylor, which was one of the other options. I'm like, oh, yuck. Yeah, yuck. Oh, let's go. Yeah, from the old streams. La Liga Rare, and you jumped in. So far, won 650, almost double what you paid. Man, that's awesome. Congrats, Balot. That is tremendous. You love to see it. That's awesome. Good. Yeah, I guess I can go into the play now instead of the easy. So I got passed by the St. Louis Stacks. That's why I was sitting second, but I didn't get passed up. I didn't have much luck really. Those are 250s. Excuse me. But my specialist that I kind of went after, let's see, I got $30 from my specialist, which is fine. That's good. I'll take that all day. It just kind of didn't work out, the Messi coin flip, but I didn't have anything really around him except for the Berkey. So I wasted the Berkey. Yeah, $20 for 66th, $10 in the other one. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Once, let's go. I appreciate it. Appreciate it for sure. Good to see you back in. So the MLS, I went after, so this was my priority lineup. I thought the matchup against Houston was good for Chambos, but that was just a bad play by me. That was just not very smart. I had other options that should have went in there. It didn't. Lineup mistake by me, but what are you going to do? Get $20 there. And actually the best was this fourth place on the right side here. That was like my fifth or sixth priority lineup. Maybe like Paslick did well. Dreyer did well on all sets. And like that was my regret. I captained him, but with Lozano out, I figured he'd have a monopoly on sets, and I should have just rated him a little bit higher in terms of everything. Inter Miami down a man scored a goal, so that was luck there. But I got fourth there, $50 there. And we're getting 2 essence from that. So a little bit of essence. That was how my game week. But like all the lineups that I went after and thought were good, just were busts. But yeah, it was pretty good. I'll take that all day. For a total of 2 essence and $100 cash. We'll take it. All right. So jumping into some set pieces. So just like I talked about there with Dreyer, some interesting things with guys out, some guys rotated, some weird things. So game 3, this is on RotoWire. If you're interested in RotoWire, in the comments or in the description, you can get a free trial, and it has these soccer cheat sheets that are very, very worth it, in my opinion, especially in the free trial. They're free, but they give you set piece information. You don't have to look over. I'm a big guy for heat maps on SofaScore or, all the other sites that you can get free kicks, but yeah. Daniel, I was going to say, you got that Veselinovic and he smashed, and I knew you had Benteke, like he said, whenever we talked, but yeah, I thought those other guys would have done a lot better. It was just one of those game weeks that like all the stars really didn't come out to play. And it was a lot of like secondary pieces that smashed. So many clean sheets. So like everyone had a good goalie. If you didn't have a clean sheet or a high score this week, you were kind of behind the 8 ball there. And then smashers didn't play or didn't score. So if you had Seattle guys, you got bailed out. They rotated everyone. So like Rusnak was one of the highest scorers of the week, and he came off the bench after De La Vega got injured. So there's some just craziness, absolute craziness. So Atlanta, another split between Saba and Moranchuk. You're probably going to see that all year. Miggy's still only taken 1 on the year, so it's kind of a toss-up between those two. As far as Austin, so we still have Owen Wolf taking the majority. He's been playing, and he's taking almost all of them. Danny Pereira, no luck. With Owen Wolf continuing to start, he slid into like that left mid role and pushed Bakari to the right side. And he stayed in the starting lineup. So he has 18 already. That's kind of crazy. 5, 6, 7 in order for his first 3 game weeks. So you got to think of that. That's going to be continuing. Evander took 2. Kubo took 3 last match. But yeah, Kubo played from the start. Orjano, 2. and 1 free kick shot. So it'll be interesting to see whenever Evander and Orjano play a full 90, how that is. It'll probably be a split based on sides. So that's kind of what my thinking is. Moving on. Duncan, let's go. What's happening? You got a Damiani with the free market credit? Okay, that's interesting. I saw that, and I will probably do the same thing that you just did. Sweet. Good little shout out there. So any European cards? Nice. We're still seeing splits. Chambos didn't really have great deliveries. I watched that whole match. To be honest with you, he was pretty poor all around. They did end up splitting. Diego Rossi took the first several. I think maybe like the first 4 in total, and then Chambos took a few from what I remember after watching. There's plenty of sets in that Charlotte match. Westwood, they're up a man. Westwood took 6. Pep Yell took 3. Eric Williamson took 3 coming off the bench. Zaha again took 1. It's usually a short corner whenever he comes in. It's a short corner to a layoff to him. Usually. Corin Vargas took 1 from the right side, from what I remember, in only 4 minutes. So whenever he's in, he takes some as well. Hack randomly bench. I did not see that coming. Whenever I was doing my New York Red Bulls, that was one of the teams that I've done for next week already. I don't know. I have him back in the starting lineup, but that was just surprising. Like, I know with Harper being out at wing back, they could have played Dylan Nealis, but Gengar played there and Dylan Nealis started. So I'm not really getting a good grasp on that. That was just shocking. I didn't see that coming. And then Gald getting hurt. At least it's not super long term. I thought that was going to be like a year ender, but only a few weeks, which is a huge positive for that. And Messi again. What? I should just not bought mine. It would just be a lot, less stressful whenever that's going on. Dallas, all 6 were taken by Lucho Acosta. Makes sense. João Peglo coming in, he took 4, so that's obviously going to take away from Herrera. Schnegg took 1, Pirani took 1, so they're just kind of chopped there. After Herrera took 7, Schnegg took 3 the previous week, but Peglo first time in. Like I said with the fire, Brian Gutierrez takes, so that's good to know. If Zink is out, we haven't had any information. He wasn't in the list of players who weren't training or any issues, so that was like another one of the ones that didn't see coming. But there were some surprises, but on the first injury report, there weren't that many of those killers. I'm sorry if they're in your lineups, but and then the Seattle LAFC matches were brutal. Galaxy, Fagundes took 7, Peck took 2. They can't find it, but they looked good in the first 15 minutes, and then it just couldn't score. And then Berkey played really well. McGlynn took 4. And interesting enough, Ladero took 0, which is good for McGlynn because with Ladero starting last match, he only played 59 minutes, but that was very interesting to see that kind of dynamic. Moving forward, Danny Bawanga came off the bench, so that's why he didn't take any. Mark Delgado took 3. Smolyakov got his first start. He took 1, but it's going to be Denny. For the most part, if he's in there, he'll take the most. Jordi Alba took 3. Segovia took 1 there. No Messi. It's going to be spread out. Alba, I believe, was taking the left side. One's pretty much, I think all 3 were on the left there. Minnesota, again, with their rotation, it's weird. Unless Rosales is the guy who doesn't play this weekend, and that's kind of how I project it right now, it just doesn't make sense because Trapp is out. Now Pereira is out. And Lode was the first one out. So I guess maybe they're just rotating one of those guys each time. But Pereira coming off the bench, only in 11 minutes, took 2 sets. Lode took 3. Will Trapp took 1. Montreal, they're struggling. King Clark was battling They just have a lot of injuries and things going on. But Caden Clark in 29 minutes took 5. He's going to be the guy whenever he's in there. Duke and Pierce took 2 each, which, makes sense. One kind of not as much of a surprise because this happened in preseason as well. Carl's Hill, we've talked about him being dusty. He's not really making a case for himself based on the preseason so far. He took 3 and Jackson Yule took 2, cutting into those sets, which you don't love to see. Nashville did well, but Hani missed a pen, which obviously cut into his. He took 5 sets, which is good. Tag set didn't take any this time. So there was like a split and then a little bit of a switch, but Tag Seth scored really well. Most of the Nashville guys did, except for the big chance miss guys. Mukhtar and Surge both missed a penalty. Pantemis time. Maxi Morales continues to take almost all. He took 8. You love to see it. Ojeda took 1. As far as Red Bull New York, you have just Forsberg there taking 5. Makes sense. Only 2 were taken for Orlando by Ojeda. And then I believe 16-year-old, Duncan can back me up on this, Gustavo Caraballo took 2. He's a 16-year-old. And that's interesting. It's just a guy coming off the bench. He's not going to have a huge role. He only played 4 minutes. But interesting enough, he took 2 sets. The Kai split with Quinny Sullivan 4-2 this week. So, still Kai's getting most, but a little bit of a change there. Peter, let's go. What's happening, Peter? Portland. So Santi Moreno came back for 45 minutes, which is a really good sign for Portland fans. He split 1 each with DaCosta and Moreno. And that's interesting that Moreno is back just because he did train, but for him to be able to go 45 minutes is very, very positive. Yeah, he did look like I was kind of shocked that, he's young and he came into the team right away. And yeah, that's put the others to shame. Yeah. In some misery there for Orlando. Mihailovic is taking all still. No one else has taken any. He's taken all 12 this season. Pablo Ruiz was not in the squad. He was sick, I believe. He had an illness. Gonzalez took 1. Catranas took 1. Junqua took 2 whenever he came on. So that's not the absolute monopoly that you're hoping for Gonzalez. With the coach saying that they just ran back the same lineup from last week. He said he needs to make some adjustments. So I expect some rotation, like Junqua probably starting over Catranas from the start. So if he starts, maybe he gets some of those set pieces if he took 2 out of the 35 minutes. San Diego, that's one that I wanted to talk about. Luca De La Torre did take 1, but Dreyer took 5. If you go back to the previous match, he took 9 compared to 2 whenever Lozano got out. So Dreyer, I've played him every lineup he's been in, each of the 3, he's won me cash. He already, based on I just kind of break it down of percentage of the lineup. His card that I got the off-season one already paid for itself, which is awesome as far as, getting money back out of the return, especially whenever you're like, oh, he only has half a season. Well, that half a season is a huge chunk of the MLS season. So happy with that. That's for sure. San Jose disappointed. Espinoza took 10 set pieces, and he did not score well. So you got to think, okay, if he takes 10 set pieces, probably 9 times out of 10, and this was that one time, he usually will probably get a decisive off of that. Hernan Lopez was out, so there's no kind of split with him, although Espinoza takes most regardless. Spring Kansas City, Manu Garcia and Suleimanov, pretty much a split still. Manu usually takes the set pieces from further out. Suleimanov took some corners. Memo Garcia, if he's in the lineup, he takes some as well. Oh, yeah, you have your 13%, about the only worthwhile card from that 4% collection. But that boost is a huge edge on probably all the MLS cards for the in-season. That's pretty ginormous just because, mine doesn't have that 4%, that's for sure. That boost puts you up way over others, so that's definitely a good one to have. Seattle, Rusnak, like I said, came on late, but he had 4. Jesus Ferreira had 4, and João Paulo had 2. He played the full 90 there. Leuven took 5. Hartle took 3. Interesting there. See how that plays out. They're both at 8. So, no monopoly for Hartle. Bernadeschi took 2. Longstaff was in the starting lineup. He took 2. Not the complete monopoly that Bernadeschi had before. And then Whitecaps with Gald missing time. It's going to be Berhalter taking the majority. Vite did take 1. Naganda has taken before, but Berhalter is going to be the guy on almost a monopoly, outside of maybe 1 or 2 being taken elsewhere. So while Gald's out, he's going to be the guy there. So maybe look for assist opportunities for him. Could be a decent card to own while Gald is out. So that is our set piece information. I really think it is important to see those guys. It's more important for daily fantasy, but you want to have guys that are going to get into those opportunities where you're going to get a decisive. Set pieces are huge, and the more chances you have at set pieces, maybe you get an assist, maybe you get a goal. Yeah, so very important. You have any sleeper or budget-friendly players that you think could step up and score well? Not off the top of my head. I honestly, like, scouting-wise, I go week to week. So, like, overall, like, long-term, I don't really – I kind of planned out the first 5 game weeks, and now I'm, like, seating my pants. I should have probably planned out earlier or further out. Any revs, AJ – he has great stuff. Rev's so rare. He has great stuff as far as schedule and like planning. So he put out today the next 5 game weeks. So that's something to watch and just kind of take a look there. Let's see. How's it going? How long's Gald? Only a few weeks, actually. He dodged a bullet there for sure. That did not look good. And again, yeah, no one is budget friendly. Sorare GW, what's happening? Not yet. Yeah, let's wait for some prices to come down, and they will come around. But right now, I haven't really looked since the crazy prices at the beginning, just because I want to get in early. But I will be going back to the market, keep kind of earning each game week, and then pick up some of the guys that I haven't already. But no clear budget friendly guys so far. Herrera losing sets was a big bummer. Yeah, I agree. I played Herrera in my kind of top lineup that I was really hoping would do well, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Seattle with the midweek, I mean, rotation was expected, but it was just tough to see how much rotation. They didn't have a set schedule, but some of the guys were a little bit easier to pick. Some of the guys absolutely not were easy to pick. So that's a good segue to jump into how did I do? Where did I get wrong? Seattle would be the guy, would be the team. Whenever you don't get the goalie right, that kills you. That usually should be your like, all right, you should get the goalie right. Then rotating Thomas was brutal. And that 4 was a really killer to a otherwise pretty good game week. The 3 ones that were bad for me were Seattle 4. I just don't know how, like, I don't know how you can expect that lineup. That's pretty crazy. They did a formation change on top of that, which made it even worse. But yeah, there were a lot of bailouts though. So if you did have guys, they smashed off the bench. If you have guys like Rusnak, as long as you didn't have Steph with them, you would have done fine. But again, if you're playing a full stack, you don't have the goalie. You're obviously getting that DNP. But it's tough. You don't want players that play in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Said at the beginning of the year, you just don't want that risk. I would love guys that are just rotated, not rotated, just kind of resting, which, yeah. What's the point in rotating? They give Thomas time throughout. They did it last year too. They just want to give him game minutes as well. It's stupid. Yeah, I agree. They should never rotate a keeper unless it's like his competition, like the Galaxy. But yeah, spook to buy him. Yeah, it's just tricky, especially with these teams. We'll go into like a preview to all these matches, but like these teams going down to Mexico, yeah, it's going to be tough. MLS teams just don't get results down there. And every MLS team needs either a win or they need some away goals and a draw. I think a lot of teams are going to get bounced in this round of 16. Obviously, the matchup between two MLS teams, Columbus down 3-0 to LAFC, is interesting. But yeah, I think a lot of these teams back on home soil in Mexico are going to be tough to get a result out of. And then you have like the LA Galaxy playing Herediano, and they're down 1-0. They, lost. They've lost every match. But yeah, tough there. Next worst was Toronto. And I'll be completely honest with Toronto. I just can't follow the trends. I can't. You look at there, I'm averaging 7.33 out of 11. By far my worst. Real Salt Lake's Champions Cup rotation kind of brutalized me there as well. But yeah, 67% is horrendous. 7, 9, and 6. I just can't really follow. There's not a ton of news. Like I follow guys like John Molinaro, Waking the Red. I follow these to get all the information, but there's just not. I'm not even getting the formation right now. So it's really, really tricky. So something to watch for, especially in, whenever you see my Toronto, you'll see low percents on a lot of guys outside of Bernadeschi. And, with Lorea going down last week, we didn't know who was stepping in, and they had just Cozy Thompson started at right back. You could have given me 100 possibilities and I wouldn't have called that. It's just tough out there. So no excuses. I'm not good at Toronto. And moving forward, I don't expect 6 out of 11 every match, but I do expect to get better with that. Then the other one that wasn't so hot was LAFC. But again, that's who'd have saw some of those. There's just full rotation. I was able to pick a few. Tillman was out with the flu. Didn't know about that. But outside of that, let's see what we got here. RSL was 8. I was 9 or better on every other one. So I cleaned it up outside of that. 83.4% was some of those killer rotations. I'll take that every day of the week. As far as comparing it to the other full game weeks, this was my worst weekend game week so far. 87%, 86%, 83%. But given the 4 out of 11, I'm pretty happy with it. So I apologize if you followed them and you had some DNPs, but I'm going to have DNPs just based on, unless they move that 83%, if they would move it, I know they won't just like to beat the streak, but if they at least gave us that availability report, my job would be easier, number one. But that percent, I could honestly say I should get close to 90% just based on having that availability report, which would be nice if they pushed it back just because there's no matches. Like it wouldn't affect anything, but I don't think that'll ever happen just because like to beat the streak, maybe they think that would be an edge, but we just don't get the information. And I'm not knocking individual like journalists. They do a really good job. The beat writers do a really good job for the most part, but some teams, the beat writers just don't do so hot. They either, I use Twitter. I use X Pro. All my stuff is there. So like some of these teams that like the people went to Blue Sky, it's just kind of annoying for me to go back and forth and try and pick up that stuff and kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But yeah, no excuses. Year 84.22%. Again, if we take a look at the prior midweeks, 83% on the first one, 86. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong dates here. This would be the midweek. So that 87 was the midweek. So the weekend slates would have been here, 82.95. So that was actually my worst. 86 2 weekends ago, and then last weekend was 83. Okay. If you look at the last midweeks, 75% and 78%. So I'm expecting anywhere from that 75-ish range. It's tough, but for a game week, 61. So that's all the recaps. Let's get into what you guys are probably here for. Actually, what's happening this game week. So we'll go through the matches. I will go through explaining my theories behind why I pick teams. And again, I'll go team by team. So if you have specific questions about players or why, this is all Sorare Inside. You can have this at your fingertips. Like today, I updated everyone from the weekend matches. You can see when they're updated. You can get notifications on the teams that you want and all those good things. Great resource. And instead of waiting for my stream, you can have this at your fingertips for very cheap. Using code DEEK10, you get 10% off that as well. I think it's worth it, but I do work for them. So shameless plug there. So let's start at the top. We got Monterey and we got Vancouver. Vancouver was at home. They actually rotated a few players and were able to get a result at home, but they're playing a Monterey team who is 60% chance to win. It's really tough to imagine that Monterey doesn't win this match and doesn't move on. I just don't think Vancouver has it, especially with Gall being out. I think they'll give it their best shot, but I don't know. Is Hollingshead worth the price over long? I think towards the weekend versus Austin. I'm not sure, honestly. Hollingshead has more decisive capability, so he has some of that. He gets forward and he can throw an assist. He scores a decent amount for a wingback as well. Long is more of your like steady AA usually, but he can score well. But there's been a lot of clean sheets so far, which is that 10 points really helps both with guys. I don't know. Defenders always are horrendous to buy. I can't stand buying them, but I think I would lean Hollingshead for now, just because I think the peaks are a little bit better just based on previous years, things like that. Flo, what's happening? Welcome in. All right, so let's get to Vancouver. I did update this just with the Galled information that I had. They won on the weekend, 2-0. In hindsight, I should have known that they weren't going to rotate because that Montreal match is, a huge rivalry. First leg here was 1-1 draw. So Monterey did get that away goal, that all-important away goal. But this is a key match. So like these teams that are in it and have a chance, you would think the best possible scenario here, you would think. Takioka was rotated for Boehmer last time. He should be in net. This should be as good as it gets. A toss-up here, Tate Johnson. Tate Johnson looked good. It was his first start. He scored a goal. I think he's back in. Ocampo was suspended. That would be the only kind of question mark there. But I have him starting just based on he looked good last match. Blackman should be Veselinovic as well. That is spread out. Halbuini scored the goal last match. A nice header to get that even up there. But it's a little bit of a toss-up just with the midweek, but it should be a pretty straightforward as far as they should play their best players. Berhalter on the left, but Nagando has started a decent amount of these midweek matches. Ralph Prizo is same deal there. And then Vite. If he doesn't play, Berhalter seems like he's the most locked just because he's played pretty much all the minutes that you possibly can. If Vite's out, Berhalter here, Nagando on the left, and Kubas was rotated last midweek, but he should be playing here. Jaden Nelson coming back from injury. He is questionable with a hamstring, but with Gall being out, they kind of need him. Ali Ahmed played well last match over the weekend. His form should keep him in there. Daniel Rios did start over Brian White last midweek, but Brian White, again, if they're really going after it, which you would think they would be, should be in starting contention. And he's a key player. So I think Rios is on the bench, but 45% just in case they switch a formation to maybe a 2-striker look if they don't want to kind of play the wingers and kind of throw an attacking mid or like a 4-4-2 kind of thing instead. So you kind of don't feel great about Nelson unless they say that he's good to go, just because it was kind of precautionary, but at the same time, they aren't rushing him back by any means. What's wrong with the Galaxy? They can't win a game. They stink. Too many injuries and just holes everywhere, and they're trying to rotate with the Champions Cup. Just no good here. Yamani, I expect him to be back this weekend. They said they expect him this weekend. A good chance to be back this weekend, I think was the exact quote from the postgame presser. What are we thinking on Austin versus a rotated LAFC? So I'm having a little bit of trouble whenever we get to LAFC. We'll just jump there actually now just to kind of come with a talking point. LAFC is up 3-0. So yes, I think they're still going to go for it as far as who's going to play. They already rotated last weekend, right? So you would think since they already rotated, like Hollingshead and Palencia split 45 minutes each, they had a lot of rotation. So you would think, in theory, you would have a strong lineup here. I don't think they're going to rotate that hard against Austin because there's not going to be midweek matches. There's a little bit of a break between the next CONCACAF because the international break, as far as some teams have the international break, not all teams. And next week, for the weekend lineups, I'll have those kind of who's playing midweek. No one's playing midweek. Who's playing the following weekend and who isn't, because there are a few matches throughout. So as far as LAFC, I think on the weekend they're going to play a pretty strong lineup as well, just because they're going to have that rest afterwards. So I think they went all out rotation the previous match so that they can play a strong lineup here, strong lineup there. Like Bouanga, I would be shocked if he doesn't start both, just personally. But the guys that are all rotated should be back in. Tillman's the question mark. Saldana did start last match. They did switch up the formation, but they lost 5-2. It was just kind of full rotation based on a lot of different things. But, Tillman having the flu, they only had Saldana, and then they split the minutes amongst Igor Jesus was coming back from the flu. He was able to play. But, as far as rotating the goalie, Lloris should be in net. It was just kind of a full rotation thing. The question mark beside Long would be who starts. Marlon did look like he pulled his hamstring, and he was subbed after 19 minutes. We haven't gotten the severity on that, so something to watch. I think it's a toss-up between Segura and Nkosi Tafari, with me giving Segura 60% total and Nkosi Tafari 45%. Other than that, Under could get some action, and I really am looking forward to, I talked about last stream, I'm hearing murmurs, I don't know if it's just rumors, but possibly a 4-2-3-1 whenever Under is healthy, to get David Martinez playing as a 10. Boy, I love it. That would be electric. I think that would be, for LAFC, I think that's the best combo that they could make. And it just makes a lot of sense. So I've been harping on that. And if they do it, I think they'll be very successful at that. So LAFC, with the full rotation, you would think it would be a little bit easier to predict. But there still is a little bit of question marks based on who played where, who played how many minutes, and guys like Tillman coming back from the flu. I think they go with the 4-3-3. The 3-4-3 is more just rotation. Cherundolo basically said that. He said that the 4-3-3 is basically what he wants to play right now, but whenever they rotate, they can play that 3-4-3. Let's go to Columbus, since it is a 3-0, 48% chance of winning. They played the snooze fest 0-0 draw against Houston over the weekend. So where does this go from here? Do they rotate significantly and just kind of pack it in with them being at home? You would think they play a decent squad. I predicted this very similar to what they did last midweek, just to get some rotation here. Steven Moreira was held out based on a knock. He was subbed after 45 minutes with a knock that he was kind of dealing with already. Herrera has played really well. He's been a bright spot on Sorare and a bright spot just kind of watching the game. He's, delivered some solid balls that, are dangerous. He's at least pushing the envelope a little bit. Amundsen, oh my gosh, he just smashed his face off. He's just doing everything from that left center back spot. As far as Arfston, I'm 60% on him just because he could play that left attacking mid. He hasn't yet, but I think we do see AZ Jackson. Diego Rossi, I don't think he's going to get rotated, but, do they just pack it in? That's the question mark there. 80% on him, 80% on Shambost. They kind of went with this, but it wasn't a set front three. It was kind of they were rotating around. Sometimes AZ was giving chase as the, false 9 guy. But outside of that, they don't have a lot that they can do as far as from the bench. But in the notes here, if you can see this, I did say who have started each of the 4 matches here. there's a lot of just like they don't have a lot of rotation possibilities based on this. So Schulte and Munson, Chaburko, Nagby, Zawadzki, Digorossi, and Chambos all have started every match. So maybe there's some rotation, but it's really tough to decide from any of those guys if they actually will. But a lot of them have great gas tanks and don't need to rotate. But you never know with, the congested fixtures and more matches on the weekend. With them being 3-0, it's just really hard to imagine Columbus going through. Crazier things have happened, but I'm definitely going to go with LAFC on that tie. So I went Monterey, moving on. I went LAFC, really going out on a limb there, but going LAFC on that one. Let's get to Cincy. So Tigres, 58% for Tigres. If you look at FC Cincinnati, it was a 1-1 draw. Tigres with the away goal. Cincy's going to have to get something going. Tough matchup, but I'm interested to see how they kind of go through here. Danya, what's happening? I like him. So I like his profile. He's just a defensive mid that really racks up a lot of different categories. Maybe his upside as far as like 80 plus might not be there in many matches, but I like his profile. I like what he does. And he should be pretty safe. I think if they would go to a 4-2-3-1, he's pretty safe because he's that defensive mid that they need. I would think it would be him and Delgado, and like Tillman would be a rotational piece in that case. But Tillman can also play in a bind. He's an 8, but in a bind he could play as the 10, like if Martinez rotated. But I like him. Yeah. This week he should start, coming off the flu and things, but I do rate him pretty highly. Rated him pretty highly coming into the year as well. I have not purchased one. I was in several auctions at the beginning. I missed like the $20 price. I don't know what his price is for rare now, but then it jumped to like 60, and I was like, yeah, I'm out at that. Yeah, really young, high profile, coming out of Brazil, and he played really well. Yeah, he was boss in the midfield. All right, so this is a tough one. Tigres is a good team. They're going to be tough to beat at home. Can Cincinnati score goals? Absolutely. Can they kind of reverse the 1-1 and score maybe 2? Do a 2-2 draw? I'm not sure. Tigres at home is going to be tough. But if there's any team that could go down there, if they can kind of gel, I think that's the only thing that's missing with this team. I think it might be a little too early in the season, and I do think Tigres is going to advance based on that. Away goal could come into play late, but I'm really interested to see how this lineup looks. I hope Orjano is fit to play back-to-back matches, and I would love to see Evander play with him. I think that they're just going to be electric. There's so much creativity there, and they're, in theory, are going to really be able to supply Denki with some great services and kind of put him into great spaces, as well as they're a threat from shooting from anywhere outside the box. So it should be exciting. I just don't know if in this scenario they have a great shot. We'll see. As far as the team, it should be their best 11. Kubo would be the guy that has the best chance to start over Orjano. I'm 65% on both guys across multiple positions. But like Orjano plays 61 minutes. So if you play 61, should be good. Evander coming back from that, it was just like a back knock. It was a bone bruise. He played 29 minutes off the bench, so he should be fine. I went 75%. Maybe I could have been higher on him, but he seems fine. Should be able to start big match. And yeah, there's a lot to like about this team. It's just I want to see more under their belt to actually play together, like Evander and Orjano. I'd love to see them play together, gel a little bit. There's a lot of times where people are making runs and there's miscommunication. But the Cincy team, once they gel, they should be pretty solid and one of the better teams in MLS. I'm not selling out on them, that's for sure, by any means. Seattle Cruz Azul, again, another tough matchup, 58%. It's almost the same between FC Cincinnati, tough matchup. Seattle, 0-0 draw. So no away goal for Cruz Azul. That could be huge here. If you look back, Seattle has had success in the competition. Pedro de la Vega going down. We haven't heard, but it was quad tightness. So that's not the worst thing in the world, especially for a guy that has had several injuries last year and has had trouble just staying healthy. And Schmetzer said in his post-match presser, if I could talk, there should be an update after the midweek match. So with that just screams that he's not going to be available. So I didn't even put him in here with a percent at all. So rotation has been tough, following the pattern, things like that. Who will start where? Is there going to be a formation change? But with the rotations, it should kind of clear up some things. So the guys that were rotated over the weekend should be in the starting lineup. Guys like Alex Roldan, Nuhu, should be. Reagan and Yamar have been pretty steady. Reagan rotated that one match, but with Bell just playing the last match, should be that center back combo. Should be. Same thing with the center mids. Christian Roldan and Obed Vargas both came off the bench or were on the bench with João Paulo and Danny Leyva starting. Should be starters there. You hope, right? Costa Rienzi has actually been really good. He's a Tacoma guy. He's been called up in a bind. So, I don't think he's going to start here, but he's a guy to look at to get maybe a full deal. You only get 4 call-ups, so I'm not sure where exactly he's at on the call-up list, but I think that's only for MLS matches. Could be wrong on that rule. I feel like it's only MLS and CONCACAF Champions Cup. Anything goes because they always have, extended benches, things like that. So that's what I think there. Once we get to the attack, that's where there's a lot of confusion. Yeah, that Martinez goal versus Seattle was awesome. All around so rare. The whole group is here. If you didn't catch Detroit Bad Boy, I tried to listen in on X a little bit, Twitter, X. Always a good one there. So shout out to them as well. Rusnak coming off the bench. He played more minutes than I think they thought he would. He should be pretty safe to start. I wouldn't think he'd come off the bench for 2 in a row unless he has some fatigue issues, which he shouldn't. Should be good to go. Ariola, it is his turn in the rotation. Rothrock looked really good. He had a goal and assist last match. So he is kind of playing himself into it. I wouldn't be shocked if Jesus Ferreira didn't start just based on that he was a sub the last 2 matches. Then he did start just based on what they had. Georgie Minogu has a chance, and Rothrock could play that right side. In theory, Ariola could play that side, Rothrock on the left. There's several different combinations they could do there. Morris played played 45 minutes. Musovski played the other 45 minutes. He should be fresh as well. They are going to go all over it. We should see a best 11. Hopefully this midweek we actually do see best 11s. Anyone under contract for the club, it seems. Yeah, Mangione, the killer's brother, right? That's good. There's a lot of second squad teams or players. So that makes sense. That's Seattle. Hopefully it's not a 4 out of 11 for me again this week. Sure, if I get a 4 out of 11, I might as well just wrap it up after this one. But crazier things have happened. With no away goal, they're in a situation where if they can pop one in and they can get a draw, why not, right? I don't have many bold calls, but I'm going to go with Seattle getting an away goal, draw 1-1. Really scrappy, and they do advance. That's not a glaring endorsement, but I think if any team can, they have the depth to be ready, and why not? I'll go with Seattle advancing. Costa Rica matchup against Pumas, Club America versus Guadalajara, and then we already did this matchup here. Last 2 matchups, we have the LA Galaxy against Herediano. 64% to win. Will they pick up their first win? They are down 1-0. No away goals, so there's a lot going on. Seems like they always dominate. Yeah, hopefully. I don't have Seattle cards, but I just I do root for MLS in general in these competitions, but I would like to see an MLS team win. It's just kind of rare. Tarek, what's happening? How are you? So the Galaxy, where do we even start? There's so many toss-ups here. Let's start with McCarthy and net. It should be McCarthy and net because it seems like he has the competition number 1. Mikovic's performances and his confidence are at a very major low. So I don't think we'll see Mikovic here. That's for sure. And on the weekend, I'm leaning McCarthy gets the start on the weekend, depending on how he looks here. I think Mikovic is kind of losing grasp of that starting spot. I think the Boo Birds are out for the Galaxy, and a lot of people are they would like McCarthy's I think he's just more safe out of the two. JJ Lane, what's happening? Thanks for coming in. So that's my. I think he's a lot safer in the midweek than the weekend, but it should be McCarthy in net. Should be. I say should be. As far as that left side, they played a different formation. They've been kind of just bouncing around everything. It's been tough. It's been really tough to decide. As far as Yamani, I touched on it earlier. He's expected to be back for the weekend match from as long as everything goes right. I don't think we see him. Harbor Miller is the only really guy that can play that right side unless they change up the formation. You would have thought Zanko would have gotten some more run. He just hasn't. So, they could play a 3-4-3 here. Sure. Marco Royce, is he going to play 3 matches in a row? I don't know, man. But guys like Ramos started the last match. They just didn't look good. And you would think with how poor the season has started, they got to win this tie against Herediano. They just have to. They're down 1-0. As bad as they've looked, there were bright spots early in the match. Again, they just trailed, and too many injuries. You look at the injury list, there's 3 key starters there. There's a 4th, and there's a guy that can make a huge impact whenever he comes in, especially when Christian Ramirez he hasn't been good. He hasn't been getting in those areas. I think there was a quote we expected him to be faster. Are you sure about that? I was kind of shocked at that quote, just because, he played with Cucho and he was good last year. But Cirillo seems like the safest option, but what if he gets rotated too? You have Elijah Winder, 55% on him. Parente played pretty well in a 3-0 loss. I kind of liked what he did in his first start of the year. You have a guy like Tucker Lepley in the lineup. Talked about Ramos. Julian Alde could play further forward in a left mid position. But you should see Fagundes again. Again, this is a must win. They need this. They need this to get some form. So I would think it's going to be a pretty, I say strong, but as strong as they can put out. The only issue here, it should be Peck. Royce, like I said, can he play again? He looked horrendous. And was it the first or second goal where he was just kind of standing there and he just fell over? It was brutal. I went McGill Barry. Ugh, yuck. But he's played better than Ramirez so far, which is horrendous. Nascimento, I would like to see him. He's still dealing with a thigh/groin injury. So he's not going to start. He shouldn't, at least. You can't really get too excited about this lineup right now as it stands. But at home, I think they can win by multiple goals. I think they could. Will they? I don't know. Clean sheet, maybe. They should be better than Herediano. They should be. But Herediano eliminated Real Salt Lake. Not saying that they're a great team. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Galaxy figured out to get a 3-1 win and advance by the skin of their teeth to be eliminated the next round in the quarters. And then the last one, probably the one that everyone's waiting for, Inter Miami, 84% chance to win, XG of 3 against Cavalier. It was not as straightforward in the first leg. It was 2-0. Cavalier had a goal rolled out, right? That was during our last stream, wasn't it? Yeah, and I was kind of watching on the side. Messi, he was an unused sub, which made sense. Down a man, it didn't make sense to bring him on. They were already up 1. I get it. That doesn't really make sense to bring him in that game. With the international break, what are they going to do? Is he going to not play in this one and then, go to international break, play, and then come back? a lot of question marks. So naturally, I left him out of the starting lineup just because, they're going to Jamaica. I would just be shocked if he plays, right? At least starts. But then again, like, are you going to bring him off the bench when you probably don't need him? If I had to really think, I just don't know if he gets on the pitch. Could be wrong. Just Messi watch has been horrendous so far. It just seems like maybe he'll play a couple minutes and call it a day. This is not a far trip. So like usually you're like, oh man, midweek they have to do all this traveling. It's 550 miles. That's a short flight, and it's a lot shorter than most of their away trips. But can we trust Messi playing away at all this year? I think we honestly have to answer that question. The weekend match is Atlanta on turf. Is he going to play for that? Like before international break? There's just a lot of question marks, and I don't have the answers to be brutally honest, which is disappointing. And it's a guessing game. It's you can't even read into the comments basically, but it's really tough there. So as far as this lineup, Ustari, I went 60%, 40% for Rios. Ustari did pick up a red card. Kind of a needless. He was caught out. He just took him down. Red card. He will miss the weekend match. So could they give Rios back-to-back matches? It's a very possible situation to kind of get him in the rhythm for the weekend against Atlanta and a big match on the road that he'll be in for. Jordi Alba could be rotated here. That would make sense in my head. Could have Noah Allen play that left side. David Martinez didn't start in the in the weekend. So I do go 80% on him. I think he should start. Whether or not he will, still to be seen. Maxi Falcone was questionable. It was just a dead leg. So they said a few days to return. He could be back to start. I do think they just kind of held him out. If he can't go, Aviles makes sense. Lujan moved to right back. He started at center back and then moved to right back. He started at right back and then moved to center back after the red card. Frey came on late. So I think Frey does bounce back in the starting lineup. Busquets hasn't been rotated. So, there's that chance there. With Ruiz played left center mid last time. So I think that's why I went 60-40 on him. Redondo did not start. So I think we could see him as a starter, or should see him as a starter. Yannick Bright has looked really good so far. As far as a guy that, can bring a lot to that midfield and help out there. He has a motor. Good to see there. Allende and Segovia, I went 65% on both those guys. Just it kind of depends on Messi, and maybe they go outside and they give like Morales, who's a young attacking mid. Maybe he gets a random start. Kromashki should start. He was yanked as the guy that was replaced for the sub for the goalie. Had to bring on a goalie. Someone had to get out. So he's going to be fresh for this match. I think they might give him another chance because it is unfortunate whenever he was playing pretty well. He was scoring well in Sorare as well. Suarez has not rotated yet. Will he? Leo Afonso is kind of the only guy that they could play there unless it's like they play Messi, which would be kind of crazy. But yeah, I hate midweeks. I wish my players didn't play midweek. Like I said, as far as kind of going through my builds, I don't really know. And I honestly don't put much stock. Like you saw, I got one essence, which was great, but I play all-star and that's it. I don't expect anything. I don't really take much time on my lineups either as far as like what I'm playing. I just kind of throw them in. But yeah, that's the game week. They're already up 2-0. There should be no issues with Inter Miami advancing. So what I want to do is kind of look at that bracket to kind of look to see where we're going from there. Some interesting matchups could happen. So like I said, I'll just kind of go through who I think is going to advance. LAFC, Inter Miami in the next round. You got to get excited for that. That is an exciting matchup between two MLS sides. One of them will make the semis. Then you have Monterrey versus Vancouver winner. And I do say that Monterrey are going to get there. That is who? Julenense, I forget how you say it, from Costa Rica against Pumas. I actually don't know what the first leg was. 2-0, right? Yeah, Pumas. I was going to say I could have sworn they won. So I do think Pumas should advance. Pumas versus Monterrey. That's going to be an exciting one. We got MX sides. Club America versus Guadalajara. 1-0 Guadalajara. No away goal for Club America. So they have some digging to do there. Like I said, I think Seattle's going to win, but they're going to have a really tough match again against the MX side. Cincinnati versus Tigres. I do have Tigres advancing. Tough one, though. And then they should, whoever wins this matchup here should kind of walk through this team, in my opinion. Galaxy aren't playing well. Heredinho have been outkicking their, if they knock out 2 MLS sides, that would kind of be crazy. But you don't think that they get past here. So that's what the kind of table goes from here. Yeah. The Kromansky pick, yeah, it kind of just makes sense. But again, I could be completely wrong. It just would make sense for him to be rewarded for the guy that came off, because there's nothing he did wrong in that situation. It's just you need a goalkeeper on. He was the one who made way. So that's the game week. And these are shorter for sure, but that's kind of my thinking behind all that. I do want to take a look at pick scores, and then we'll kind of wrap up. I'll maybe look at maybe one of my lineups. Maybe I won't. But yeah, let's go take a look at pick scores, see what we have, just like MLS options. I'll run through some guys that I like for the game week, and do I agree with the percentages, things like that. But yeah. On these midweek short slates, anytime I can hit an hour with just like, not just dead air kind of like content, I'm good with that. Not really putting a time frame on it, but it just kind of makes sense to not just drag out what doesn't need to be dragged out. McCarthy, I do think he starts. I think he's in a good chance. They need a clean sheet and a chance to get a clean sheet here. Ustari, they're 100%. If you have him, you probably start him, right? I do have him at 60%. I do think he will start, but it's a good matchup to get a clean sheet. You would think that they should keep a clean sheet. Lloris has been on fire. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet in Columbus, although Columbus at home couldn't score on Houston. Schulte at home, LAFC are probably going to get a goal, especially with a fresh Bouanga. Tough there. Stephen Fry, Cruz Azul on the road. Tough matchup, but yeah. As a Liga MX, enjoy. I'm really excited about Champions Cup and less confident year by year. Yeah. I still think it's going to be a Liga MX side. I don't know which team is going to win it, but I still think they're going to win it this year. But yeah, I think the gap is shortening. The deal at Leagues Cup is a joke just because there's no Mexican sites. Like if you wanted a real one, for them to play on the road is difficult. I don't think it's a good kind of representation, and like where it falls in the year benefits MLS sides compared to this will never benefit MLS sides just because it's early in the season and they're still working through fitness and things like that. And it's really tough for these teams, especially usually they struggle in the league as well. The teams that are playing like Philadelphia last season. And then you look at like the teams that are doing well, they don't have to rotate in the midweek. So the travel, everything just kind of can be really tough. David Martinez up at the top there. He has scored really well. So I do have him as 80% to start. He should be in line to score pretty well. I don't know defensively how busy he'll be, but yeah. Garces, in theory, it's a good matchup, right? Chaburko. As far as the defenders, Amundsen right now seems to be the better scorer of that back line. He's just doing a lot. He's doing a lot on that left side. So I do think he'll score well again, even though it's a tough matchup. I just think he's going to score well. Jordi Alba, if he starts, right, should be a smash spot, but he's been in smash spots this year and just let down so far, which is interesting. Yeimar should be up to the task defensively and have a decent amount. You don't probably not going to get that clean sheet on the road, but we'll see there. I think Hollingshead and Palencia are fine on the road, but you'd rather have them at home. Yoshida, same deal. Nelson, if he starts, should start. Roldan, yeah, so like no crazy good matchups as far as these midweeks, especially the teams that are going down to Mexico. You just can't really rate them that high, but I'm sure a lot of people just have not that many options. So you're kind of just playing with whatever you get. Now I'll just kind of talk through mine as well, and then we'll kind of wrap up. As far as midfield, as long as Busquets play, the Inter Miami guys, as long as they play, they're in a great spot. Highlighted Redondo, him rotating last match. Bouanga's fresh, so like if you can get these guys that are fresh, that'll be solid. But you just don't rate these matchups that high. Even the home matchups, it's Columbus playing LAFC. That's not the easiest matchup by any means. LA Galaxy guys should be in a good matchup. It's just who's going to start from that group, and can they actually put it together? That's a huge what if. Yeah, and then forwards, Bouanga is going to be up at the top, I would think. With Suarez, yeah, if Suarez starts, he's going to be in a smash spot. Peck, you would think he'd be able to absolutely go off. Like if there's a spot he's going to go off, it should be here, but will it be? Allende has been in great form. Diego Rossi, kind of a letdown last match in a good spot. Denki, depending who plays. Messi, if he starts, if he plays, he'll probably get a decisive, but is he really going to go to Jamaica and play? I don't know. I'd be shocked, but you never know. Rest of these options are just kind of lukewarm. You don't feel too strongly about any of them by any means. So those are the matchups. As far as like what I'm going to do and what like I think about, I don't really have. I mean, I have two Schultes. I'm going to play them, but like again, it's just I'm playing them in All-Star. I don't have any of these other things, so you should definitely be focusing elsewhere on like, especially for like these matchups, they're just not good. For all these, Schulte should start, so shouldn't have any issues there. I just don't see Evan Bush starting. That's why. International break coming up soon. Yeah, playing any buy sells to take advantage of people being away. Yeah, so like I said, I bought at the beginning of the year. I haven't really looked at the market too much. I'm a usually an international week buyer to just kind of I have looked at the fixtures. I said I didn't look too far ahead. I looked post international break. What players have good matchups. So that's kind of what I am targeting for like holes in my gallery. I bought a ton, but I still have holes just because like some guys haven't panned out. Some guys, I thought were going to be smashers just aren't. And some guys like Messi just don't play. So that's kind of my thinking there. With this matchup, I'm probably going to play some Inter Miami guys just for the risk, because if they do start, they should score well. And trying to avoid Mexico as much as possible, just because it's going to be very, very difficult for huge scores, unless it's maybe a defender that racks up tackles. They're under pressure the entire time. But yeah, I'm going to go David Martinez. Why not? I don't think I'm going to like fade Columbus, just because it doesn't really make sense to fade Columbus at home. Even though a 0-0 draw, tough matchup, but as far as like I have the cards, I'm going to play him situation. But then it's like, do I keep Evander out of the lineup? I don't know. It's a good matchup, so I might like. In theory, I'll probably maybe stack Evander with Denki, maybe even in this lineup. But yeah, Richie Larea. So in my pinned tweet, you can find all my information if I have any timelines or anything like that. Richie Larea, muscle injury. He was not training on the 6th. He was rolled out this weekend. That was last weekend. We don't have a timeline, but the muscle injury doesn't seem too severe. It just he's going to be questionable / doubtful for this weekend. I don't think he'll be back. Who do you think will score better between Guzman and Stefan Fry? It's a toss-up. Yeah, I mean, Steph Fry probably gets more action. Guzman, better possibility of clean sheet probably. I don't know too much. I don't play Liga MX, so I haven't really looked into how he scores or anything, but like matchup wise, you'd rather have the home goalie unless you're trying to shoot the moon with like an upside play. I think maybe Steph has more upside in case they keep a clean sheet, but just very, very less likely. I mean, Chambos makes sense at home, but it's just you don't feel great about playing him. Look at the scoreline; he has not been good whatsoever. I was expecting he was a guy that I was high on coming in the year. I'm not going to give up on him, but yes, it's a different cast of characters. But I was expecting these whenever he started. Just hasn't been the same. But kind of going through, like, I might just throw a Vander and Denki together and then maybe play Diego Rossi as an option there. Revenge game. I don't know. That's a fun lineup. Again, I'm not expecting anything. That's a fun lineup. Probably just kind of stick with that just because it's fun more than anything. And I'm going to, David Martinez makes sense. If he scores 80 again, like I get the captain right, I'm going to go Rossi. We'll go revenge game. Not expecting anything. That's a quick build. I'll probably look over it later more, but to be honest, I just don't care about midweeks. I should, but I just don't care. More like if I knew Messi was going to play, but since he's not playing. Yeah, the Crew are desperate for a solid striker. Yeah, Russell Rowe, just like he's good, but like they need a striker. Not let's play Diego Rossi in a false nine. Not let's play AZ and let's just run him everywhere. It's just Schulte again. I got two of them. I didn't even think about playing under 23. Just probably won't. Yamar makes sense just because as far as he could rack up some defensive scores just because he's probably going to be under fire a decent amount. That kind of makes sense. But like Ian Frey, maybe he gets a decisive if they, put some in the net. Outside of that, don't really love anything. I'm going Yamar. It's going to be tough not to play Chambos, but looking at my other options, there's nothing really that was like, yeah, you should play them. Fagundes could be interesting, in a good matchup as long as he starts, but it's pretty meh. I'd rather have him at home, probably. But Fagundes is in play. Probably going to go Allende, but like at the same time, there's a good chance that he doesn't play. Like 65% on him personally. They don't have a lot of options, like with Fafa Pico being hurt, Taylor not being with the team, whatever his ailment is. So, like, there's some risk, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of guys that could fill in there. I do have Jesus Ferreira. I'm not going to play him against Cruz Azul. I always forget that I have like Carranza, a couple Carranzas. Orjano is interesting, but again, against Tigres, I already have the other guys playing. Maybe I should play him. I'm not going to. I'm going to go Allende, and then I'm probably going to go with – where's my boy here? Probably going to go Fagundes, just like set piece opportunity. He could definitely get like a corner. They score off a corner. Again, I just don't really care because they're not going to be great. Messi, yeah, it's like I should probably just play Messi in there because I don't care, but at the same time, I guess DMPs don't matter. Is he going to play in Jamaica? I'm just tired of getting DNPs from Messi. And if he does play, he's probably going to smash. But, well, he is going to smash. I think he could play 10 minutes and probably have 2 decisives. But probably just stick with this for now. And then maybe I'll throw Messi in later and complain whenever he doesn't play like everyone else. As far as captain, let's just throw Messi in there. Who cares, right? He'll get 80 in 50 minutes. Yeah, he very well could be. It'd be like that Evander. He had a goal and assist in like 20 minutes, right? That one midweek. And it's just like, oh, yeah, he smashed his face off. You think Azuni will do good in MLS? We'll see. He could be like a guy that takes a little bit to transition to MLS. Austin's attack has still struggled. They've been sputtering. Gonna need to wait and see. In theory, he should be good, but a little bit of a slow start. He got in late. He just needs to build some chemistry as well. I just don't like playing Messi, just knowing that there's a really good chance he just doesn't play. Yeah, I'm just going to not play him. I'll play him in an XP lineup. Yes, I do think he was going to come on, to be honest with you. With them being down a man and up, there's just kind of no reason to play him. But I do think he could have played. Especially whenever they're just saying it's like muscle fatigue. Like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Maybe he is having ailments, but I don't know about all that. So I'm just going to go with this for now. Believe in Shambos. I'll change. I'm guaranteeing that I change these, but just do it that way and then wrap up the stream. So hopefully you guys like it. Probably gonna call it here just because we're over an hour. You probably don't need to see me ramble on whether I play Diego Fagundes over Lionel Messi. I need to just get this off the screen. So thanks for watching. If you haven't liked the stream already, please do that for me. It helps me out somehow, some way. And catch me back here on Thursday for a better stream. I always like Thursdays better than the Mondays, but a better stream because we have a full slate to talk about. We can dive into players that I like and go from there. So thank you for watching as usual, and good luck this midweek. Hopefully you guys have great lineups that smash and you get all the rewards. So we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.